There is a smell unlike any other, and it's that of snow melting. It's early March, New England, Zone 6, and I can smell it. I thought I'd take you on a very slow, gentle walk of our suburban homestead, Sweet Fern Homestead. I'm Hannah. And just give you an idea of what life looks like as we head towards spring, as the snow starts to melt, and certainly it can come back. There's no doubt about that. But when these first heavy snows start to melt, it is just a magical feeling. Let's start on the side of the yard. This is where our driveway is, and we clearly have a very big slope. So the front of the house is on the top, and the back is much further down into the ground. And you can see there's a Japanese maple here. And, when we bought this house, it was after a disappointment. We did not get the farmhouse in the woods that we really wanted to. And this was, much more suburban and a little bit boring. Wasn't quite what we had in mind when we imagined, getting our first house together for Dave and I, combining our families. And yet it has been exactly what we need in this season of life. This is not our forever home, but it was time to start doing something. It was time to start creating a home that felt like ours. So that fir tree you see there, we do want to move that, but we don't have a tractor. So for now, it's there. And you can see my 2,000 square foot vegetable garden and Delilah. Now these pots, so the front door here, I don't have a wreath on the door because it's been so windy that it's just not even an option right now. But these pots, you can see there's some boxwood in. We have an idea forming for some boxwood, but for now, these were just to add some winter interest, and the pots are filled with tulips. So each of these pots that you see have a lot of daffodils, tulips, all sorts of bulbs hiding inside of them. So on Sunday when it's 60 degrees, I will be taking these out and planting them into the yard and then allowing those bulbs to now come up now that the weather has changed, has definitely shifted. So, we've done a lot of work. We've changed things. We've moved things around. And I created this garden in the parking strip, which is probably one of my favorite things. Still covered in snow. And it was from Home Depot selling $2 perennials after, the season was over. And that's how this started. So I still have quite a bit of room left. There is one section that's not planted, and then we go up to that black pole up there that you can see. And so I still have quite a bit of room to create another no-dig bed. I lay cardboard down, and I put compost on top of it. The worms help me, and it just becomes a beautiful flower bed. All right, so let's look at the front here. So you can see there's some sedum that came from my old house. Behind the sedum is a baptisia plant that already fell over from a storm, but it did give beautiful winter interest. You can see a picture of it here. It's gorgeous. And I put some catmint on either side of the house, and that was just for the chicken. It was a temporary move. I knew it wouldn't stay, but it gave the chicken a lot of protection from hawks because they do take their bath up here. So now my job is figuring out what I'm going to plant on either side of the brick stairs. And I want it to be something fantastic. I've been thinking about it all winter, and I've narrowed it down, but I'm not quite sure. I do think a lot about, I want something nice and tall. I want something with winter interest. So dogwood or grasses. And then we do have a climbing rose called Joseph's Coat, I believe it is. And I'm wondering if we might be able to get that rose to climb up and around this doorway. I think that could be really beautiful. There are 2,000 bulbs planted throughout this yard and in pots. And I cannot wait to see them. Here's some chamomile that I just plopped down. I put a lot of plants in places where I think I probably am not going to keep them permanently, just to get them in the ground growing. So this is a chamomile right next to a lavender. And the lavender I also brought from my old home, and it has done beautifully. It is thriving in this space. I will cut this back just a bit. I'll shape it in the spring. Not quite yet, but soon. This is a peony, a pink peony. I mean, can you believe this is what it's going to look like soon? This is what the house looked like when we bought it. There were 2 boxwoods on either side, and I took them out, but there are a bunch of little propagations coming up from those boxwoods, and I am going to pull those out and pot them up and try to grow them. As I was filming this, I saw the first bulb coming up from the ground. I couldn't believe it. It looks like a little alien creature, like a little claw coming up. So 2,000 bulbs. Hopefully the squirrels haven't stolen them all. And they're scattered all through these gardens. The Japanese maple and the rhododendron were here. They were planted. The maple glows red through our window. It's beautiful. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the rhododendron there, but they're fine for now. They're where they need to be. Now let's go to the backyard. This is the potager garden. And the potager garden was started a bit late last year. And I will be making this our herbal apothecary. So I'm very excited about that. I'd also like to create more winter interest. All I have right now is the sedum that survived the winter, and it looks beautiful against the snow. There is nothing more beautiful than sedum and snow. Now, this garden has to be pretty bunny proof because in the summer, at any given time, you can look out and see about 4, I think there's 4 that you're going to see right here, bunnies, wild bunnies, and they eat, they munch, they love it. So we have to be careful of what we plant. So here's another day. This was the day after that last film. The snow started to melt. I've added more winter sowing jugs out in this nice bright sunny area. And then over here to the left of the potager garden is where the chicken coop is, and then where my vegetable garden is. We live in wetlands, so that is not a pond. That is absolutely what happens every year. We get flooded. This picnic table we got for free on Craigslist. It's not permanently going to stay there. We do have a beautiful set of chairs and love seats and coffee table that's coming, but it probably won't be here for a while. So for now, the picnic table will stay, and then it'll move closer to my garden over here, actually, where you can see my sweet birds. We built the chicken run up against the fence of the garden, the vegetable garden, and cut a little hole in it for the winter so the chicken can go in and out of the garden, and then they're given some protection with that fence around there. I let them out about an hour before sundown to run around the entire yard, but when more things start to come up, I probably am going to have to be really careful of where they go. They are not going to be able to be in the vegetable garden in the summer, in the spring and summer. And I don't want them to, eat all the new baby plants coming up everywhere. So there's not much to see here. It's covered in snow. There's straw on each of the rows. This little corner here, I decided I wanted a patch of oregano that could just grow with wild, reckless abandon. And I put it right here in this corner. I'll probably plant other things around it, but the chicken will be in here and they'll munch it too. We love oregano. That's a very important thing for me. And I just wanted to give it some space to spread and take over and not worry about it. And the chicken are just enjoying this winter thaw that's happening. That's little Jojo, the little kind of orangey cream colored, a little tiny little thing. All right. Here is a border of yellow roses. We lost one and we'll be adding, we have a couple more that are growing that we've been transplanting. So we're going to make a beautiful border there. And then this is where all of my garlic is. So these raised beds right along the fence of the vegetable garden, again, have to be deer and bunny resistant. So I'm going to do garlic and probably potatoes. And then this, I just built this. I just added this no-dig bed. I've planted irises in here, and I'm thinking I'll do sunflowers to grow up along the fence. Here are 2 pear trees. You can see the potager garden is in the back there. 2 pear trees. And our plan is to extend this and create an orchard. So we have a lot of trees that I ordered pretty much a year ago now, and we are going to just plant fruit trees. All right, this is the Baptisia I told you about. It got knocked over in the last storm, and the reason I'm showing it to you is because I'm going to be reusing these. I'm going to use them as pea sticks. When you plant peas on a trellis, usually your trellis, there's quite a gap between the plant growing and the bottom of the trellis because peas grow really tall. So these pea sticks will be planted with the peas right in the ground. I'm going to pop them in, and they will bridge the gap between that sweet little plant first growing and the bottom of the trellis. So it will be able to just grab on to the stick and work its way up, which will make less work for me having to move things up. So here's the orchard area where the dogs are running around now. You can see there's nothing there right now. So we'll be adding that in. And then now you can just see how it all connects. The orchard will be right where I'm standing, the front of the yard, the potager in the back. That is early March in New England. I'm in Massachusetts, zone 6. Our first official melting of the snow. It of course could come back. I mean, it's March, so it could come back, but there is something so reassuring about seeing those bulbs start to come through the dirt. All right, so what am I thinking about in March? In March, I'm thinking about planting my seeds, getting all my seeds started. I'm thinking about finishing up any winter sowing I want to do, anything else that's going to get out there in those milk jugs. I'm thinking about getting some trees planted. We have a crabapple tree that already arrived that we need to plant. We have a bunch of fruit trees arriving, so we will be getting those planted. I'm thinking about, I have probably 50 pots of tulips and daffodils, crocuses, hyacinth planted on my sun porch. I'm thinking it's probably really close to the time that they're going to start to go outside. I'm also thinking about things like making sure I have canning supplies for when the harvest comes. I'm not going to put that off. Making sure that I've ordered canning lids. I'm starting to think about and do research about what I can put in the potager garden, really understanding what I can keep out there without having to worry about the bunnies or the deer. I'm thinking about design, shapes. This is a really good time when everything is kind of barren to start thinking about where I want, to work on vertical or horizontal, what's going to be underplantings, where there's things missing, because it's very easy to see right now where I have spaces and gaps, and just to overall start to vision into what I want to see. I hope that was fun. It was fun for me. It was a lot of editing on that video. If you are new to the channel, I would love for you to subscribe to stay in touch, to stay in community. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And my favorite part, leave a comment so we can chat. Hoping that you are finding some beauty where you are. I know that there is a lot of sadness in the world right now. And one of the ways that I am kind of healing my heart is just to keep noticing the beauty, keep noticing the sacred in all of the little places and all the little moments. So, sending love to your hearts. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.